Hello everybody, I am Aki. I'm Japanese who wants to live in Malaysia.
Hello everyone, I'm Yvonne. I'm a Malaysian who wants to live in Japan.
What's going on guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Aki. Today I'm here with...
Nicobon TV.
I hit my ball.
Today we are going to talk about
The reason why I want to live in your country. Yes!
Perfect, okay, continue. I have been living in Japan for 5 years. How about you, Aki?
I have been living in Malaysia for 1 year. So what was the main reason why you moved to Japan?
Actually, the main reason that I moved to Japan is because of the air. Cookie.
Is air in Japan good?
So I can say the air in Japan is very fresh because I have like very sensitive nose and skin. So it sends dust whenever I go. So my nose will know if there is bad air or good air.
So you had like really bad problem in Malaysia?
Every day when I wake up in Malaysia, I will sneeze like at least 50 times a day.
50 times?
Yes.
That's a lot.
Gojukai. After that, I went to Japan. Everything is good.
Problem solved?
Solved.
Kind of interesting because when I was back in Japan, I was suffering from an air. You know why?
I think I
You
know. Is it because of the Kafun show?
Oh yes, exactly. Kafun show is hay fever. So in Japan, there are a lot of trees that gives off pollen, kafun, and that causes symptom of hay fever, which is like runny nose and itchy eyes and sore
sneezing.
throat. Yeah.
And even like skin problem. I used to work in a drugstore in Japan. Many of the staff there, they have the same like issue of hay fever. I am not sure if it is true, but I heard that if you stay in Japan more than 5 years, you'll get hay fevers eventually.
When I was like young, I didn't have any problem, but it was around like junior high school, I started to have hay fever symptoms, and they never stop.
And
It's really bad.
Are you still having Kafun show now?
Yeah, in Japan, but after coming to Malaysia, problem all solved.
Interesting.
Yeah, right? So she said the air in Malaysia is bad. But for me, air in Malaysia is perfect because there is no hay fever.
For me, the air in Japan is perfect because there is no dust.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Also, I like the weather in Malaysia.
Really? It's so hot and humid here.
But the summer here is not as bad as summer in Japan. It's really hot, right?
Yeah, true, but you have 4 seasons in Japan. You can enjoy skiing, snow, autumn, sakuras.
Yeah, true that. But the winter in Japan, very cold.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's really cold.
I like spring and
Autumn.
but they're very short.
That's the most favorite seasons in Japan.
So Malaysia basically have only summer.
Only summer and raining.
They call it 2 seasons, but
Yeah.
I think it's only summer. A lot of Japanese people prefer summer than winter because the coldness of winter kind of depress you. So since Malaysia have only 1 season, we don't need to spend much money on clothes and we don't need to spend like time choosing clothes every day. So back in Japan, there are 4 seasons. I had to like buy new clothes every season.
And throw away some clothes every season. And in Malaysia, you can just have 1 wardrobe. It's basically t-shirts, formal in Malaysia.
Yeah,
but
just
in
like this.
Japan, it's
Yeah,
like jacket, coat, t-shirts. You have a lot
yeah.
of different fashion there. But I love the fashion there.
You can enjoy the fashion in Japan. It can be a good point and bad point.
Because it's kind of mendokusai. Well, okay, so Aki, what's the other thing you love about Malaysia?
Definitely a huge condominium in Malaysia.
So huge, fascinating.
So the housing in Malaysia is really huge.
I mean, for condominium, it's slightly smaller than the landed house, Ikotate, but it's good enough. The building you stay is new here, so it's well renovated, all furnished.
Actually, in Malaysia, when you rent a house, you can choose house type. Fully furnished or partly furnished or not furnished. And I rent the house which is fully furnished, means that everything you need is already installed in your room. So it's like sofa and TV and microwave.
All the furnitures.
Also the bed, I've got king size bed which is too big for myself. Talking about the hugeness,
Okay, this is very spacious for one person stay or even two people. I mean, it's so much bigger compared to Japan.
Yeah, if you compare it to like Tokyo, it's like 3 times or 4 times bigger.
How many Jo is this house?
35 Jo.
The ikotate in Japan is really small. Yeah, it's cute and compact. It's like a toy. When I'm on the train and I look down, so many toy house together. So it's like compact and cute. But Malaysia is like bigger. So you like Malaysia house better because it's spacious than Japan?
Other than the space, Malaysian condominiums always come with pool and gym, so we always have like free access to them. And also this building have infinity pool on the 48th floor.
It's like sky pool.
Yeah, where you can have the scenery over Kuala Lumpur city.
It's really amazing.
So talking about the rent, I pay around 2,500 Malaysian ringgit per month, which is like 7,000 yen in Japanese yen.
That is really cheap.
It's super cheap.
It's
yeah.
really, really cheap because for 7,000 yen in Japan, at least in Osaka, you can get only 1 LDK.
Also, if you compare to Tokyo, it's a big difference, right? If you rent a house like this on the really high floor with gym and sky pool, it will cost like seriously 1 million yen. In Malaysian ringgit, it would be like 30k
30k for rental?
for just monthly rental.
Really?
Cost performance is really good for housing.
I agree. You win at this part. Alright, so talking about transportation, I think Japan is well known for their transportation. It's very convenient and you can get chikatetsu, densha, and JR everywhere. So basically, whenever you live, you can get home by public transportation, which is still not happening in Malaysia now.
Also the punctuality maybe?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
the transportation is so punctual. It's always on time, but when it is not punctual, there might be some accident, like
Yeah.
someone jumped to the railway and suicide, something like that. But what amazed me is if there is like accidents there, they will give out a card. Like when you get off the train, they will prepare a card like saying, okay, we are late because of the accident. So they will give everyone a card so you can prove to the company why I am late.
If you're in Malaysia and you get late because of the accident or something, you can just text the boss and say like, oh, I'm trapped in the jam, so I'll be late. Oh, that's alright.
In Malaysia, it's like everyone is, oh, sorry, I'm on the way.
Yeah, they always say, I'm on the way, when they're not.
I think I said that on the text too.
Talking about the transportation in Malaysia, they're really, really cheap. There are some options. You can take LRT, which is basically like train, and you can take taxi. You can use application called Grab, where you can get matched with nearby drivers. And taxi price is really, really cheap compared to
I
Japan.
agree. Yeah, Japan taxis are crazy.
Yeah, it's like 10 times more expensive
Yes.
than Malaysia. So basically, as a transportation, I use Grab all the time. So I never like walk because it's too hot out there.
Wait, I think someone walked yesterday for 20 minutes.
We were supposed to meet each other
In KL Central
KL
because
Central.
someone told me like he's working there. So when I got there, he told me, no, that mall is too far away. Let's meet in KLCC. And he couldn't get a Grab.
Yeah, because the road was really jammed. I couldn't get Grab and I decided to walk. I thought it would be faster.
Yeah, I think it's really faster. And that doesn't happen a lot in Japan.
Never
Because if it is jammed, you can always take train, you can always take chikatetsu, you can always use a like bicycle. But in Malaysia, because it is hot and the public transportation is not very convenient yet.
Yet. I think it's gonna be improved.
Yes.
But there are too many people in Kuala Lumpur, so it's basically jammed. Flight ticket in Malaysia is really cheap because the airline company AirAsia is based on Kuala Lumpur and they offer like super cheap flight tickets.
How much did you buy your flight? I mean, for the last trip, like Japan to Kuala Lumpur.
Japan to Kuala Lumpur.
Because I don't think it's really cheap.
Yeah, for international flight, not much difference, but for domestic flight, yeah, AirAsia is really cheap. For example, like for example,
Where did you go? You don't remember where you went?
No, I went too many places. I went to Kota Kinabalu. It's like 3 hours flight. Yeah, and it was only like I forgot.
I don't really know how to edit this part in it, so because there's like no information.
I got a good example.
Okay.
So people go to Langkawi a lot.
Oh
right?
yes.
So Langkawi is like 1 hour flight from here. You can get really cheap flight. Yeah, it would be like 100 ringgit for a return ticket.
Oh, it's cheap.
It's really cheap.
Yeah, it's really cheap. Wait, in Japan, you can get like bullet train, Shinkansen, whenever you want to go. It's like Kokunai Ryoko. But for Hokkaido, maybe you need like flight or you need to take flight to Hokkaido, right?
Really?
Hokkaido, yes.
I thought there is like long bridge connected to
So
Hokkaido.
how can you go to Hokkaido?
I don't
By
know. It's in
car?
my imagination. There is a bridge.
It must be Malaysian. Wait. I will Google up later and we will tell you the result. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have to take flight to Hokkaido. You can travel around with Shinkansen, you know, Kansai area, Kanto area. But for Hokkaido, it's like, no. I hope I'm right.
I can't say anything. I'm not sure.
No, you can't say anything because you're not Japanese.
Oh my gosh. Do you feel safe in Japan?
So safe. As a Malaysian, we are very cautious about ourselves. Like we never walk alone on the roadside like at night time. But in Japan, even if I work until 2 a.m., I still can walk home alone and no one is worried about me. But in Malaysia, if I go home at 2 a.m., my parents is going to get me like 10 times call and say, where are you? Are you safe? What happened? So that is the difference. In Japan, it's like everything feels so safe. You will see some drunken on the roadside on the weekend, but other than that, all safe.
Japan is pretty safe when it comes to like robbery and thief.
Oh, the robbery and thief in Malaysia are really bad.
Yeah, one of my friends, actually he's my ex-roommate. He was walking on the street like around 9 or 10 p.m.
Is he alone?
He was alone. One guy came talk to him. He called himself a police. And my friend was asked to show his passport or ID card, but he didn't have it. So the police took his wallet away. Police explained like, I need to check if there is like ID in your wallet or something. And he took it away and ran away.
Oh my god! Wait, what kind of story is that?
Right?
Yeah. So what they usually said is if someone rob you, it's better to hand out all your belongings because it is safer. How do you know if he has knife with him? So the crime rates in Malaysia is very high.
Yeah.
So you have to be very cautious when you walk alone on the roadside or when even if you are with your friends. So yeah, when you ask me if it is safe in Japan, of course it is safe in Japan, like so safe.
What about tsunami or earthquake and typhoon?
There are a lot of natural disaster in Japan.
Yeah.
Many disaster. Last year's in Osaka, we have experienced like the biggest earthquake in 25 years, biggest typhoon in I don't know how many years.
Yeah, when it comes to like crime, it's much safer in Japan, I guess. But when it comes to natural disaster, I felt really scared in Japan because there are a lot of earthquakes and there are some predictions that there is gonna be like really huge earthquake within 30 years. We have no earthquake in Malaysia, right?
Only once, like few years ago, but of course not that bad as Japan. It was in Kota Kinabalu.
Why only Kota Kinabalu has earthquake?
Because it's kind of far from West Malaysia and East Malaysia. It's separated.
Oh yes.
You study the geography? Yeah. Because of that, we can look at the map. Yeah, it's separated.
Okay, so Kota Kinabalu is in East Malaysia and
Yeah,
Kuala Lumpur and all the big cities where a lot of Japanese people are is in
West Malaysia.
West Malaysia. But one thing I'm afraid of is the thunderstorm.
Oh, the thunderstorm here is scary. Yeah. It's really, I know it's very loud, but I never heard of this loud thunderstorm in Japan. It's very mezurashi.
It's cute.
Ding ding.
Yeah, ding, bang, bang, bang,
Bang bang. Here it's like grong grong.
So the last thing we're gonna talk about is the people's characteristic
And the working culture.
and manner.
Japan is very famous and popular for their manners. There are many Malaysians who travel to Japan just to see how good the service is. I've met a lot of Malaysians and they always tell me the same thing. They couldn't imagine how Japanese kids were raised when they were young, like how their parents taught them to be such a polite and nice kid. Yeah, that was like what I heard the most.
Like, is there any specific like manner or behavior that you like about Japanese people?
So kids in Japan, they won't shout or like cry loud on the road. The kids themselves, they are kind of disciplined. That is very impressive. We should really learn from them.
In school, we're taught that way. Like, we have to be quiet in a class. The core part of this culture is that you cannot disturb other people. For example, on the train, talking on the phone is frowned upon because talking on the phone will disturb other people.
Yeah.
And also, if you're walking on the street, you cannot like stare at others because that will make him or her nervous. For example, in Malaysia, if you're walking on the street, you look in the eyes.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Sometimes smile at them, really friendly manner. But in Japan, that never happens. I feel a little bit like lonely. Like people feel lonely because it's really difficult to be connected with other people in Japan.
I really agree on this point. I kind of feel they are very lonely and it's really hard to make friends with Japanese. I mean, like good friends, they are very kind in front of you, but you will never know. It's kind of scary, to be honest. It's okay, it's good to be polite. You go to the restaurant, they are nice to you. Even they are not in a good mood, they still work hard. They respect their work, they respect the customers.
In Japanese culture, people put more importance on group harmony than individuals' feeling.
Yeah, true.
So you have to wear like always smile face at work.
That's why they said like Japanese has two faces.
It's just trying to be
nice to others
and trying to keep the harmony.
It's like they sacrifice their own feelings to keep others people happy, but it is not a bad thing. I think everyone should do this.
That's actually one of the reasons why Japanese people are hard workers. It can be really stressful.
That's why you come to Malaysia.
The atmosphere is exactly the opposite of Japan. People are really laid back, even in work. They're like working like this. And they're always chit-chatting.
Yeah, they talk to each other. Oh, that's the really stressful point in Japan when I work there. Because you just can't talk. When you work, you work. You can play on your phone, you can talk to each other. But in Malaysia, it's like, relax. Relax. It feels like you and your boss can be friends.
Yeah, we talk like friends. In Japan, we have to address the boss like bucho or
sacho. It feels like you will never be friends with them, like co-workers and colleagues. But in Malaysia, you can just call their name, like for example, hey Alex, you want to hang today? So it's kind of like friendly.
So it's much easier to be connected with the person, not as a boss. In Japan, because of the way people address and the honorific language, keigo, that's making the barrier between people. So that's one of the factors that make it difficult to connect with others. So yeah, Malaysia doesn't have any honorific language or that kind of complicated relationship with boss. So it's easier to make friends at work.
I personally kind of like keigo. I think it's in working culture. I think it is not a bad thing to differentiate like the level of the boss and you because sometimes it gets complicated if you are too close to each other. It's hard for the boss to tell you what you are wrong and to ask you to correct it. But in Japan, it is like, okay, I need you to correct this right now, then you have to do it. You were born in that culture and I was born in this culture, so we kind of admire each other culture. That's what they say, the grass is always greener on the other side. I think every country has their good and bad side. I love Malaysia, I love Japan, so whenever it fits you, you can just go for it.
I feel like there are a lot of pressures in Japan that you have to work in Japan, like you have to stay in Japan for your family or your friends. But it is your life and your life is only one time. So you should see bigger picture. You should see other countries and decide which country like is most comfortable for you. So what?
So what? It's the same for Malaysian. If you don't like your current life, maybe you should explore a little bit. It's not only Japan. You can go to Korea, UK, Australia, whenever you want. Explore the world.
So today's lesson is explore.
Yeah. Wait, are we still on the same topic? Okay, yes, don't worry. Alright.
I guess that's pretty much it for today's video.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed Aki channel, remember to subscribe Aki from Japan.
Also, please don't forget to subscribe Nicobon TV.
If you want to know more about life in Japan and how to get to Japan or how to work in Japan, please subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of culture differences videos too. And I'm looking forward to more collaboration videos with
Definitely,
Aki.
yeah. Okay, so that's it for today's video. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and share it with your friends. And we will see you guys very soon in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.
じゃあねー。
じゃあねー。
Okay,
Wow.
right? Wow. Hey,
In your country.
Okay, let's start from here. Say no. In your country. Okay, our hand is not. Legs.
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 Oh, legs.
Okay.
I have this problem.
Yeah.
So that's it for so.
Is that Malay?
Yeah, I speak Malay. Do you
Okay,
understand?
alright. Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Terima
so
kasih.
yeah, sama-sama. Okay, so that's it for today's video.
Oh, I'm sorry again.
Okay, so I guess that's.
What's going on? Okay, well, we should stop. And I'm looking forward to more collaboration. Okay.